I've always found the physical versus digital debate very interesting because for digital owners, a lot of times the argument that's being made is, oh, the convenience. Like, why own like a bunch of games, right? That I have to constantly switch out when I can have it all on my console, bring it everywhere with me, and physical games cause a lot of storage, like you have to have place to store it. And a lot of people live in, college dorms or they live in small apartments. So owning a bunch of freaking physical video games is not exactly the move. Whereas a lot of times on the physical side, the argument is preservation. And where I personally lean is I'm kind of in between. There would never be a time where I would go all digital, but there also never be a time that I would go all physical. Just because how I see it when it comes to digital games is I treat digital games as kind of like a disposable medium, which to some people think video games are disposable in general. But I kind of think of a digital game like an ice cream, right? When I eat a piece of ice cream, I don't think to myself, dang, this is not going to last the next 30 years. No, I get ice cream because I enjoy it in the moment, and then I know it will eventually end. And I feel like that's why it's okay to buy digital games. It's not a crime, obviously, as long as you see it like that. As long as you don't generally care about, playing games like 30 years in the future, buying digital games aren't a big deal. But my thing is, personally, when it comes to digital games, I never buy any digital games full price. Like, it will be very rare for me to pay like $60 for a digital game. Just because it's like, one, sales happen often, and two, I'm paying $60 for something that doesn't last. What I usually do is I wait for a digital game and basically go on sale. Like, I bought Metro, whatever, the first one for like $6, and I bought the first Doom game 1993 for like $1 on the Switch eShop. No harm done. I paid more for freaking McChickens now. Now they're like $2. I don't know why, but they're $2. So why do I collect physical games then? Well, I think I kind of made it obvious. It's because there's a certain charm. There's nothing like reading the back of the box of this Kingdom Hearts All-in-One collection and getting that little exciting feeling of getting hyped for a game. And also, too, it has resale value. Like, if I know I'm on a hard time, right, I know I can always just resell this game and make a quick buck. Maybe I only get $5, but that's $5 I can't earn when I only have the digital copy. Unless I want to sell the console with all the games on it along with my account and do something weird. But that's just a hassle. Most people would rather just buy a game from you than a whole console. And not to mention, too, there's manuals. Like, if you buy a lot of retro games, which I know it's not... Manuals aren't a thing with old or new games nowadays. But with a lot of retro games like Xenosaga here, you get the manual. And I'm sorry, like, the manual just has so much charm to it. But then you're thinking to yourself, okay, Daniel, that's cool and all, but, like, games... A lot of that stuff doesn't apply to newer games. Well, I'm here to tell you that is only half true. Now, if you buy most, retail releases, you're not going to get art book or manual, but there are exceptions like Limited Run. Well, they'll release a game, and you'll get like a little art book. This is No More Heroes 2. Great game. Well, okay, it's all right. The first game is better in my opinion, but you get that little charm. But there lies a little bit of problem with Limited Run. Now, on the surface of it, I think Limited Run does a great job to preserve games. Because at the end of the day, No More Heroes 2, the Switch version, was most likely not going to get a physical release without Limited Run. Like, they had no plans to give out a physical release, but with Limited Run, they were like, hey, we'll give it a physical release. So, at least I can actually own this game. But again, there's a problem. And the problem with Limited Run a lot of times is that they take advantage of people's FOMO, fear of missing out. Because what will happen is that a Limited Run will be like, oh, we're setting up pre-orders. If we sell this, we'll never do redos. We'll never make, more physical copies. And the thing about Limited Run, they live up to their name. They only make like 3,000, 7,000 amount of copies for some games. And let's say you like a indie game, right, that Limited Run made a physical of, and you want to buy it, right? You go to the site, what happens a lot of times, let's say you didn't get the game immediately, and you see the site, it's sold out. So let's say you go on eBay. You're like, okay, I'll just get off there and buy resellers. You know what you see? You see like $100 sealed game from Limited Run. And the problem is I feel like Limited Run, they are perfectly within their power to make reprints of games. Like, if they truly cared about preservation, they wouldn't only make it in a way that just sells to super collectors, which I get it. Limited Run's a bit niche in itself. Like, I know my friends, you know, who I get on Fortnite with the game with are not going to be like, oh, you know, Daniel, are you going to play the new Limited Run copy or buy the new Limited Run version of Contra Anniversary Collection? They're not going to freaking mention that. However, I believe games are to be enjoyed. When I collect games, I generally buy them because I want to play them. Now, are there games that I've bought in my collection that I haven't played? Yes, there are a couple, like Luigi's Mansion. I only got to the first cutscene and I didn't even play the game. However, I still bought it with the intention to hold on to it. And the thing is, while I think collectors are cool, I don't like collectors who just simply buy games to either just resell without playing them or to keep sealed. And that's really dumb to me, just because games are meant to be enjoyed. They are literally an interactive medium. They're not made to just sit on a shelf. All these games I own, I intend to play. Like, for example, The Lion King. Now, this is very random, but I like this game and I like owning it because I intend to play it. I didn't just get this game from my friend, because my friend actually gave this to me, but I would have bought it from him had he asked. Just to hold it on a shelf. It is cool, but it loses literally its own value that's meant to be played. And I think that's the problem, is that Limited Run, I don't think they really care about preservation. I think that they care about collectors, which sounds weird. You think, well, can't you be a collector and care about preservation? Yes, you can. However, I think Limited Run basically caters their audience towards scalpers. Now, I'll perfectly admit I'm a hypocrite. I like buying from Limited Run just because I just want to own the game. Like, this is the only physical that I can get of this game, then I'll buy it from Limited Run, even though I don't think that they truly care about preservation. I think they just care about, you know, selling to collectors and dirt faces on eBay who are going to sell freaking Celeste for $100, which, by the way, is getting another physical, which I randomly discovered, which I'm probably going to cop that. And yeah, that's personally why I collect physical games, because I like preserving these games and I like owning these games. And there's little things like manuals, with new games, you know, too, on occasion, but little things like manuals that come in old and new games that you just won't get when you have a digital game. And even though I'm Gen Z and most of Gen Z prefers digital, I think a lot of people are probably going to regret only a bunch of digital games compared to physical games. Like, not on a wide scale, but I think those who are into the gaming sphere are, just because I know whenever I'm doing bad and I don't have the money I would like to have, I can always just sell my collection. Now, it would hurt my heart to do so, but I can do that. That's an option, whereas you don't have that option with digital games. All you really just have is, I bought this game, the license, and they can always close down the store. They're doing this. They did it with the eShop for 3DS and Wii U. They're going to do it with the PlayStation Store on PS3 and PS Vita, and they're going to keep on doing this, and they don't care about preservation. But I still highly recommend collecting Switch games, or just physical games, just because this is my copy of Shin Megami Tensei 5 Steelbook. And I don't know if this will go up in value, but as a guy who owns 42 physical Switch games, I'll tell you this. Likely at least one of them is going to go up in value. And that's one other reason why it's good to collect physical, because you never know what game is going to become rare and is going to equate value and going to become expensive. Like, for example, Kid Icarus Uprising, right? I talked about in my last video. That's a game where I bought for like $40 GameStop, like back in 2021. They didn't come with a case, but I got it for $40, and now loose is going for like $50 or $60, which isn't like a super crazy amount of money, at least for video game's sake. But that game's probably going to acquire in value, because a lot of times what happens, unless you're really into emulation, there's really no other way to play these games. Now, I still emulate stuff, but I prefer to have the physical game console just because I don't have a great PC, but also, too, I just like owning them. But yeah, that's why I personally collect physical games and why I'm not like a super big fan of Limited Run. Like, they're kind of like a friend of me where it's like I like what they do and I like their products, but I don't like their business practice. But what can I do? So anyways, it's great talking and y'all have a great one. See ya.